People you talking about, they spent money on white women. They set up bars and they went playing pool and golf for $1,000 a hole, and they were known to make millions and millions when there wasn't no high taxes, and they were not hindered by white America. They were allowed to see the white America is completely closed all the doors on me. I'm not allowed to work in America, out of America. I was stopped right in my prime just when I started making money. So you can't compare me with nobody like Joe Lewis or nobody.
If you are black, if you are brown, if you are indigenous, and if you are poor, this system is rigged and it is rotten to the core, and we gonna unbring it. That's it. And that's all.
That other kind of socialism that revolutionizes the workplace, brings democracy to the workplace for the first time.
So that's one way. And then the other thing is, in my more optimistic days, he's such a perfect endpoint of everything that is toxic and dysfunctional about the United States, about capitalism, about the 80s, that maybe this is the final sort of disgusting burst before we evolve or change it to something better.
Talk about some things about why we need a new party. So I thought that'd be a good way to kind of do this. Why do we need a new party? We need a new party because both parties suck,
What are they talking about? Fortified. Are you fortified for the long run? Do you have your cemetery clothes on? Are you coffin ready to live and die for something bigger than you, like a fundamental transformation of a capitalist civilization?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Radical Democracy Show. I'm your host, Kamali Rose, here with some breaking news, and just wanted to cover this. We had just about an hour ago, around 10 o'clock this morning, the confirmation hearings for Amy Coney Barrett for Supreme Court Justice. The Senate Judiciary Committee hearings concluded, and the Republicans have moved they've pushed to nominate her, to have her get a vote on Monday. So there will be a vote on Monday. This is the reason why I wanted to jump in and cover this, is because this is a rushed process, and I just wanted to, it's just like, I can't believe that it's actually gone through this quickly. As we'll take a look at what the typical how long does this process typically play out. The average is in fact around 67 days since 1975. The average amount of time that it takes from the moment that a Supreme Court justice is nominated until they are confirmed is 67 days. I bet if you looked at how long it took from when one Supreme Court justice vacated a seat until when the confirmation took place, it would be even longer. But in this case, before RBG, before Ruth Bader Ginsburg was even buried, they had already begun the process. So Donald Trump had already nominated Amy Coney Barrett before Ruth Bader Ginsburg was buried. So this has been a rush process from start until what appears to be the finish. We talked about it in a video covering this. What were they going to do? And it looks like they have, their options were to either rush this confirmation before the election, wait until the lame duck session, or do, what would have been the principal thing if they stuck with what they had originally said about not nominating a Supreme Court justice, not confirming a Supreme Court justice in an election year. Then they would have waited until at least to see after the election. And if Joe Biden won, they would have waited for him to be inaugurated for the American people to decide. So this, I just wanted to we can take a look here at, please, if you, if you're watching, if you haven't done so already, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this out. This is sort of an experimental stream for us because usually we don't stream this early in the day. We usually do evening streams, and we haven't done one of these early streams in a while. So just kind of wanted to do this experimentally as well, just to see if we, if there's another audience we need to reach here. But honestly, this will likely be a shorter stream than usual. So just going to take a quick look at this, and then we'll see where we're at, see how many folks are in here. If anyone's watching, then we'll stick around. If not, we'll jump out, we'll head out. All right. So let's take a quick look at this article from the New York Times. So this from this morning, again, less than an hour ago, the Senate Judiciary Committee voted on Thursday to advance President Trump's nomination of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, with majority Republicans skirting the panel rules to recommend her confirmation as Democrats boycotted the session in protest. Yes, I forgot to mention that the Democrats did not show up for this. They did not. This was their way of boycotting. I believe Chuck Schumer held a press conference on the steps of the Capitol, and no Democrats showed up to none of the Senate Judiciary Democrats showed up to vote. Again, this is all cosmetic because the Republicans have enough votes to confirm her without the Democrats. So, the way to stop this was by letting this process play out to, at a normal pace, and to demand that it play out at the normal pace. And the Democrats failed to do so. We'll check out some pics of the Democratic resistance to this in a sec. But so the lopsided 12-0 outcome set up a vote by the full Senate to confirm Judge Barrett on Monday, a month to the day after President Trump nominated her to fill the seat vacated by the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If all goes according to plan, Mr. Trump and his party would win a coveted achievement just 8 days before the election. So Judge Barrett, a 48-year-old appeals court judge who has styled herself in the mold of a former Justice Antonin Scalia, promises to shift the court meaningfully to the right as if this court needs to lunge any further to the right, entrenching a 6-3 conservative majority. But it's a 9-0 corporatist majority. So just know that they are unanimous in their corporate support. So Democrats, livid over the extraordinarily speedy process, spurned the committee vote altogether and forced Republicans to break their own rules to muscle through the nomination. Without the votes to block the judge in either committee or the full Senate, though, their action was purely symbolic. So purely symbolic. That's what we're doing here. It's just symbolic gestures at this point. Democrats have sharply opposed Judge Barrett on policy grounds. Unfortunately, the only policies they brought up were social policies. They did not bring up anything about actual economic policy. It's the only one I saw talk about anything remotely like that was Sheldon Whitehouse, and he was more so focusing on the dark money that was propping up our judiciary at this point. Great work by Sheldon Whitehouse, by the way. That is, everything that he said was on point and deserves to be heard. But there's a whole lot of other reasons we should all be opposing Amy Coney Barrett. Even Republican voters should be, but they won't be told about that because the focus again is on they love to have us focus on the social issues. That is a very small percentage of what these Supreme Court justices will rule on. They will largely rule on economic policy. So so all right, and let's just take a quick look at how long it's taken in the past for some Supreme Court justices to be confirmed, keeping in mind that it is taken now. We are 26 days out. It has been 26 days since Donald Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett. That was September 26th. We are 26 days away from that day. And this vote that is set to go through on Monday, which it will make it 30 days from the start of this process until now. So, until the vote to confirm. So let's take a look at how long that process has taken normally in the past. All right. So this is from a CNN article. And all right, so Brett Kavanaugh took 89 days. So 89 days for Brett Kavanaugh. We know that was a little bit more of a slightly more contentious nomination process because he is a alleged rapist. And they had to investigate that. So that was a lengthier process than the average. Neil Gorsuch is pretty much smack dab on with the average. Like I said, the average length of time that it's taken from 1975 for all Supreme Court justices from 1975, the average is 67 days. Okay, so over 2 months from nomination to confirmation. Over 2 months typically. Neil Gorsuch is 66 days. The president announced the nomination on January 31st. He was confirmed of 2017 shortly after his inauguration. Trump was inaugurated shortly after his inauguration. And this is what it would look like. Neil Gorsuch should have been the model for this next Supreme Court justice. Let's be real, because Neil Gorsuch is the candidate that comes in to take the seat that should have been held by Merrick Garland, Obama's nominee, that was never given a chance, never given these hearings. That the Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, came out and said that, in his opening speech, he talked about how there were. So Lindsey Graham, in his opening speech, he talked about how there were. In the old days, we used to have bipartisanship, and he talked about how when RBG got nominated, got confirmed, she got confirmed with near unanimity, 90 something votes in favor of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But now how things have just changed, and it's so bipartisan now. And he lamented this bipartisan. He lamented this partisan nature of the judiciary confirmation process now, while completely ignoring the fact that, and then turned around in the same speech and said, but there's, we would not nominate Obama's Supreme Court justice. We would not confirm Obama's Supreme Court justice because in that time there were the party. This is how convoluted this is. So they're like they had an opposing party between the Senate and the White House. So they said whenever never has any, they went from saying, okay, never has, there's never been a confirmation of a Supreme Court justice in an election year. Then they just moved the goalpost on that and were like, all right, there's never been a confirmation of a Supreme Court justice in an election year when the opposing party is in power in the Senate. Like, I'm done with these people. So that's their narrative now is, okay, well, we've never done this when there's been an opposition party in power in the Senate versus the White House. But while also, harking back to this, like, the good old days of bipartisanship. But what happened to bipartisanship? If you were bipartisan and you cared about bipartisanship, right? If the Republicans cared about bipartisanship, and this is my point, if the Republicans cared about bipartisanship, would they not have done the bipartisan thing and at least given Merrick Garland a hearing, to Obama's nominee? So they wouldn't do that. And this is what they left us with. I see a comment here from Mundane Matt who says, if Dems wanted the pick, they should have retired when Obama was in. Absolutely. I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have retired in 2013 when she was 80 years old and Obama had just been inaugurated into his second term. Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have retired, and that would have been the smart move to make. If Democrats were serious about this seat and really cared about this, then that's exactly what they would have done. I totally agree with you, Mundane Matt. You are 100% correct. Mundane Matt, if you haven't done so already, I'm going to ask you to please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel. We haven't seen you in the chat before. It looks like, as far as I know, first time commenter. Appreciate the comment. Please come back, join us for more, and keep chatting with us. Really appreciate the comments. So yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you, Matt. Totally agree with you. What's up to FL? I see you in the comments there too. Appreciate you always. Much love to FL. Big support of the show. Just, great comrade and got the nothing but love for FL. So thank you so much to FL as well. Thank you to everyone for being here. If you haven't done so already, I'm just going to have to ask you to do the same and hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. We need to grow the channel and we need your help to do so. So please, please, please subscribe. And yeah, all right. So let's keep looking at some more of these, how long it's taken to confirm Supreme Court justices. We'll flip through a few more. So Neil Gorsuch was 66 days. Elena Kagan was 87 days. So Elena Kagan was 87 days. Sorry, not Keegan. This is not a Key and Peele Obama anger translator situation going on here. Elena Kagan, sorry, 87 days. And that was in 2010. So this is under Obama, this is under Obama, 87 days for an Obama nominee to go through. And this wasn't a particularly contentious one. 87 days from nomination to confirmation. Justice Sotomayor, and also an Obama nominee, Obama's first nominee, 72 days. So, May 26, 2009 is nominated, confirmed August 6, 2009. So Sonia Sotomayor, 72 days. So we're looking at an average on these, like, for, in the, just over the past, all the justices on the Supreme Court, you're talking about an average of over 60 days, 60, nobody has been confirmed here in less than 66 days. Neil Gorsuch was the fastest in 66 days. Samuel Alito, 92 days for Samuel Alito. And that was in 2005. That's obviously a Bush nominee, 92 days. You got John Roberts, and that is he's the current Chief Justice, and his confirmation took 72 days. So you see, I mean, 66 days is the slowest. Stephen Breyer, 77 days. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she was actually the fastest, and she had really overwhelming support, 50 days. So the fastest one to be nominated was Ruth Bader Ginsburg in 50 days. And Clarence Thomas, you can see, took 106 days, as he should have never been confirmed based on his record with just the Anita Hill situation. Should have never been confirmed, but that's a story for another day. All right. So that's how long it usually takes. This is how long it took. And it's because, let's be real, the Democrats, there's one party. There's one party in power, and it's the corporate party. And corporations favor Amy Coney Barrett. She has never ruled in favor of the workers or a smaller corporation, a smaller business against a larger business. She always rules in favor of the bigger business. So she is a gift to corporate America. And the largest corporations in corporate America, she is a gift to all of them. And so this is why her blocking her confirmation has really no chance. This is what corporate America wants. This is what they're going to get. So, and the Democrats, for all their little faux resistance, this is unreal that they're going to let this happen in 30 days is a travesty. It's a shame. It's pathetic, honestly. They could have like Monday Matt said there, they should have they should have vacated the seat. RBG should have vacated that seat in 2013. That was the real move to make if you're serious about this stuff. You're 80 years old. 80 years old, and you have a whole legacy behind you. Your whole legacy has already been built. You're 80 years old, and you're battling cancer at 80 years old, and Obama gets elected to a second term. Are you kidding me? You have to retire at that point. You must retire at that point. In Canada, the retirement age for Supreme Court justices, they have to go into forced retirement at age 75. No Supreme Court justice can serve past the age of 75. I don't know why we can't establish rules like this. What I favor most of all is the Ro Khanna strategy, which is to have 18-year term limits on Supreme Court justice seats and not make them lifetime nominations. That's absurd. There should not be lifetime nominations. I can't think of anything more undemocratic than that. I can't think of anything more undemocratic right now, off the top of my head right now, than our judiciary system right now, like our Supreme Court system is in the judiciary in general. I mean, these are unelected officials, but the Supreme Court are unelected, a body of 9 unelected people who get lifetime appointments, no term limits. There's nothing democratic about that. No term limits, lifetime appointments. I don't understand. I don't understand how that's been accepted for so long. So 18-year term limit sounds great to me. A new justice would be selected every 2 years. There would be a new justice seated on the bench. So 18-year limits, every 2 years you're on every 2 years a new justice is leaving, and that puts them on every 18 years we have 100% turnover on the bench, right? So every 18 years we get an entirely new bench, right? Than 18 years prior. So I can't think of anything better than that. Also, it takes away all the chance of if this person, of course, if somebody dies while on the bench, you'd have to replace them. The sitting president would get to replace them. We could still leave that rule intact. Honestly, in Canada, they have a whole list that they make up, and whatever. We could talk about other strategies for that, but that's the real tactic. And then also just removing power from the judiciary. The judiciary should not have the power that they have. So, 30 days versus 67 days average right now. And they're really ramming this through. So just wanted to make sure, jumped in and said that I think this is a travesty and absurd and shouldn't be allowed. Thank you to everyone who's hit that like button. Really appreciate that. It looks like y'all have been doing your job. I really, really appreciate that. Please keep doing so. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, you definitely want to subscribe. We're going to be doing some live debate coverage tonight for the second and final presidential debate. That was supposed to be the third, but of course the second one was canceled because Donald Trump withdrew from the debates. And then they held dueling town halls, and we covered the Joe Biden town hall. Didn't get a chance to cover the Trump town hall, and I don't know if I've given my thoughts on that, but I'll share some thoughts on that maybe tonight before in our pre-debate coverage. Brian Dew says the bigger question here is whether courts should have the power of constitutional review, determine a law is allowed or disallowed. Is this something we want them to do? Exactly. I totally agree. I like that. I know. I think you referenced a piece before from Matt Brunig where they talk about this point. Brian has in the past, and I do think that that's an important point. Should they be able to legislation? Should they be deciding whether a law should be allowed or disallowed, or should they just be deciding disputes between one entity and another about those laws, regarding those laws? And some of that has to do with the way the laws are written. We covered an interview that Katie Halper did with law professor Samuel Moyn. Why am I spacing on his name right now? I believe it's Samuel Moyn, Moyn. And his suggestion, one thing that he suggested was that you could put a provision into the laws that you pass that simply say this cannot be, adjudicated by the federal court. So it's Samuel Moyn. Sorry. Yeah. Samuel Moyn. All right. So, so I think that this is in that same vein of saying, is there a way that we should we even be allowing the Supreme Court to decide whether law is law or not? Like in the case of Roe v. Wade or whatever these things are. We have, and that's why it's about passing legislation and then not letting them decide on that's giving it. Once we allow the Supreme Court to overrule legislation, they have the power. This undemocratic, entity has the power to overrule democratic decisions. We can make the decision democratically that we want the Affordable Care Act in place, and then the Supreme Court can just step in and decide that is not the case. And that's why you can't be leaving this stuff up to just court case precedent, right? They need to pass legislation. We need to pass legislation ensuring things like reproductive justice, right? We can't just leave it up to interpretation of old, outdated laws and court precedents. We need to be passing legislation and then making sure that we don't allow the courts to then overrule that legislation, that democratically decided legislation. So it's something that I do not want them to do. I know my stance on that. It's undemocratic, and I am not a fan of the American judiciary system in any way, shape, or form. And so I want to take as much power from them as possible, to be honest with you. It's a systemically racist, misogynist system that I don't want any part of. Brian says, in practice, presidents have ignored the court. Lincoln is the famous example. He suspended due process during the Civil War. FDR, I think, also did some of this after court packing failed. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want Joe Biden to go packing the courts. That's not what I want. I don't want Joe Biden. I don't want any of these neoliberals or centrists or any of them to be the ones to go packing courts or anything like that. Not that Joe Biden will pack a court. Let's be real. Hear me now, quote me later. There is 0% chance that Joe Biden expands the Supreme Court. 0% chance. Okay. So if Joe Biden is elected, I can't believe that this election is 12 days away right now. We are 12 days away from this election right now, which is unreal. And so yeah, it's wild. I think it's wild that we're only 12 days out right now. But yeah, so I just, if Joe Biden wins, which he is, likely to do at this point, but anything can happen. Of course, anything can happen. I know I made my prediction, but still, I mean, it's Joe Biden, and he's so bad that I don't put a loss past him at any point. It's like they're competing to see who can lose this election. And I think that Donald Trump has done more to lose this election than Joe Biden has. And so that's where my prediction lies at this point. And so, yeah, so I mean, ignore the court, just I want it to be not just up to like one president deciding whether they're going to ignore or anything like that. Like, we need to legislate the court's power away from them. And so whatever we have to do that, then I'm in favor of it. And I'm no expert on the judiciary or anything like that. I'm trying to learn. I'm learning right along with y'all. We'll all learn together here. But from what I do understand about it, it's they just have too much power at this stage. They have too much power. So Brian says, not saying this is necessarily the right way to go, but it's the question that I've never seen asked by the traditional news. Absolutely. They've opened up the debate to go as far as court packing, but that's as far as they'll take it on as far as the judiciary. I don't hear anyone in the mainstream talking about removing power from the judiciary and shifting that power into more democratic institutions. That's my goal. As a socialist, my goal is to expand democracy, always expanding democracy. And I believe that the courts are an undemocratic institution that we have. And so I want to move power away from them, shift power away from them and back into the hands of the people. More direct democracy, if we can have it. You got some folks that are, afraid of the tyranny of the majority, but not the tyranny of the minority, apparently. So I find that a lot with right wingers. Brian says, I tend to think the courts in the U.S. are not necessarily great allies to working people. Absolutely. Like, there is not there's no working class Supreme Court justice right now. There's nobody that votes consistently in favor of labor. And so, these are all, even the Democratic nominees and the Democratic Supreme Court, justices are pro-corporate and they're anti-labor as far, in generally speaking. And so they lean towards, a corporatist. It's a corporatist and pro-corporate leaning bench. And if we were going to pack it, I would only be supporting court packing under somebody like Bernie Sanders, and he'd have to be packing it with pro-labor justices, pro-working class justices. That's all I would care. Like, if that's the only kind of Supreme Court packing that I ever want to see happening. And I honestly I just feel like the Supreme Court packing argument just turns it into, like, I think that the Supreme Court should be expanded. Like, I do believe that we need expansion of the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court's too small. Why do we have only 9 justices overseeing all of these cases? That's absurd. We could move more cases through the Supreme Court if we had more justices. So I think that it's just it's just a smart thing to do to widen our expand the Supreme Court so that they can do more work, get more done, and get more cases heard. So I think that's just that should be bipartisan. That should be a bipartisan issue. We should look to expand it. We just have to expand it in a way that's fair, honestly, to both parties, even. Not that they've done anything fair up to this point, but it would be fair to at least use Ro Khanna's 18-term limit. I think puts us that's the only fair proposal that I've heard, honestly. Anything outside of that, it just doesn't go far enough for me. And, that, and I think doing that plus combined with stripping power away from the Supreme Court is the two things we have to push in those two directions. I do believe that Professor Samuel Moyn has a decent perspective on this, but I've heard there's another person who I want to find he wrote a book about similar sort of radical court strategies from the left. And I want to find that. And if anyone knows what I'm talking about from that vague reference that I made there, he's made appearances on the Majority Report with Sam Cedar and I believe the Michael Brooks Show. And I'm spacing on it, but I've definitely seen him on the Majority Report with Sam Cedar on an interview on there talking about some of the sort of radical left strategies for the courts. And I think that that's what we need to be looking at this stage, because they're so far gone that nothing less than, radical fundamental change is going to be enough of an impact that it's worth it. And if we do anything too weak, like anything like court packing, I think that it will be handled by Democrats in a way that Republicans just come in and they're stronger about it, and they take it over, and they manage to do more court packing than the more court expansion in their direction, which is a even further right wing corporate agenda than than where the courts are at even today. So and that's my fear with the court packing strategy. So all right. This was intended to be a shorter stream and just an experimental stream. And I think that I definitely slacked off. I should have did more for the tags on this one. I probably should have done more with just looking at the viewership over here and such. I'm just weird like that. So, was hoping for a busier stream, just wanted to experiment with it. Also see if we could get some of our old, far Eastern folks, not Far East really, but like, folks over in Europe, our EU crew, our German correspondent, Ben 2K. We miss you, Ben. Sorry that you couldn't make it here. Was hoping to, just checking to see if maybe we could get some of those folks up in here, but yeah, so a little bit of an experiment, and we'll keep doing this stuff. We have a stream plan for tonight. Like I said, there's a stream plan for tonight for live debate coverage, and that should be a much busier stream. Let's hope so. Guest Kwame Norville from Raise Fist Media will be joining us to discuss the presidential debates. Of course, it's Trump versus Biden for this second and final, should have been the third, of course, but it is the second and final debate. And we, look forward to chatting with y'all about that. There's some stories that I might present and talk about, but honestly, it's probably just going to do debate coverage. There are definitely some stories that I wanted to get to, but might have to just pick up on those next week, possibly. We are, of course, doing a stream for the presidential election. We will be doing a stream then, and look forward to folks hopefully joining us for that. But yeah, all right. I think I'm going to sign off here soon. If you have any other comments, thoughts, please leave them in the chat over there. Or if you're watching this after the fact, you can just leave them in the comments below. All right. I think we are going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Like I said, this was experimental. Sorry if I'm a little low energy, feeling some Jeb vibes over here right now, a little low energy Jeb right now. And apologize for that if that was a little low energy for y'all. But all right. Also, yes, please follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/radical democracy. Link is in the description box. Oh, no, it's not in this description box. I lied. It is. I only hooked up the description box for the live stream of the presidential debate. Sorry, I'm slacking. Just slacking, y'all. All right. Try to pull up the stream quickly just to jump on the breaking news. But apparently we didn't break fast enough because it wasn't all that busy here. So, wah. What can you do? All right. Do I have anything else to say? Not really. I mean, I don't know. I have other thoughts, but it's just like, this stuff is depressing. It's depressing to see how fast the Republicans were able to fast track this nomination through. And it's just really sad to see how pathetic the Democrats are. They are the faux resistance. It's pathetic. there's 0% chance that if the tables were turned and the roles were reversed here, that the Democrats would have fast-tracked this nominee through in 30 days before election. 0% chance that the Democrats would do this. They couldn't even get a freaking nominee through in 9 months under Obama. They couldn't get a hearing held. Here's something crazy. No. Here's one other crazy thing that I have to share with you, because this was wild to me. Apparently the Democrats are losing on this one politically. Like I saw an article recently that there is apparently majority support for Amy Coney Barrett to be confirmed right now in recent polling, and they're losing ground with Democrats apparently. So Democrats are like coming along on this and like, oh no, we should, so they're gaining ground on Democrats and now have majority support in the country for nominating, this, far right corporatists who they're forcing through in record and breakneck speed. And this is how bad the Democrats just suck so bad with politics. Like, they are so bad. But honestly, I don't think they suck. They're paid to lose and they're paid to be this bad. So they're doing just dandy. All right. Their donors are loving exactly what they're doing right now. Dianne Feinstein. She'll get reelected until she's dead, until she's 1,000 years old and dead. She had a great candidate, Allison Harson, run against her. Allison was such a good candidate. She was an amazing candidate. Allison got like 2% in the election. She was amazing. And she got like 2% against Dianne Feinstein in the primary because the structural power that it requires to run a Senate campaign in California, where you're trying to reach millions of people. It's we've lost control of our democracy. This is why we have this oligarchy. You have to be rich in order to be able to run. You have to be rich and you have to know other rich people and do things that are friendly to those other rich people in order to succeed in many political spheres right now in this country. And California Senate is one of them. I mean, I saw a map the other day of like all these like Midwestern states, and like all combined, the senators, there's 28 senators from all those states that represent fewer people than the 2 senators from California. That's the Senate. We need to just remove the Senate. Like, the Senate should not exist. We shouldn't have a Senate. I don't want a Senate. Everything should be through. We should expand Congress and remove the Senate. Like, we should have nobody that is elected statewide like that. Like, I don't want this statewide body being elected. Like, that's just crazy, because you can't represent people from an entire goddamn state. It's just the states are they're so varied, and like you cannot do that. Just do it district by district and let people represent, and let's break these things up into smaller congressional districts. Expand the House to, like, right now it's 435. Let's expand it out so that like each person should have, like, if we did it right now, it's like 700,000 constituents for each representative right now. They should drop that at least in half, which would double the size of the House. You would give you, like, just shy, 870 members of the House, and then just destroy, just go set the Senate building. I don't think it's a Senate building. I mean, they're in the same building, but just tear down that whole damn wing of the damn thing and build something better in its place. We don't need that institution. The Senate just should not exist. And this whole like you got to go through the 2 houses of Congress and stuff, like the 2 chambers of Congress. It's so archaic to me. Whatever. All right. So, all right, I'm going to go. I'm going to peace on out. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share this out. If you have any other thoughts, leave them in the chat right now before we go. Ask me anything at all. Again, please check us out later tonight. Come back, join us for tonight's live stream of the presidential debate coverage. Not really looking forward to that. Let me not lie to y'all. Not looking forward to it whatsoever. I'm looking forward to chilling with y'all and chatting with y'all while we, suffer through, what is it? Is it 90 minutes? I think it's 90 minutes of, I don't know what time the debate. I know it starts at 9. Our coverage begins at 8. The The debate starts at 9, and I am not quite sure off the top of my head what time, how long it's running for. 9 to 10:30. Okay, so it is 90 minutes. Yep, 90 minutes. So 90-minute debate, 9 to 10:30, and then we'll do some pre-debate coverage, and then we'll do some post-debate analysis. It's like our, what is it? This is like our third debate that we're covering now. So we're learning as we go, and hopefully the coverage is improving every time. I hope for the presidential election, my hope is to bring in some more guests for the presidential election. If I'll reach out to the guys from the Vanguard, probably Zach and Gavin from the Vanguard, see if they're what they're up to that day. Maybe they can pop on for a little bit and talk to us about, just whatever on, for election coverage. Also some, other activists and folks that I know that are involved in electoral politics in Massachusetts. We plan to reach out to them, hopefully have some folks on, get some more voices on here, a range of voices on for that night. So come back, check us out. All right. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we are going to sign out. I will leave you with this awesome song from What Up America, aka Plasmon, aka Ian Olson. And we'll just dip out. All right. Thanks so much to everyone who joined us for this rugged broadcast here. I appreciate you. One sec, just gonna cue this up.
People you talking about, they spent money on white women. They set up bars and they went playing pool and golf for $1,000 a hole, and they were known to make millions and millions when there wasn't no high taxes, and they were not hindered by white America. They were allowed to see the white America is completely closed all the doors on me. I'm not allowed to work in America, out of America. I was stopped right in my prime just when I started making money. So you can't compare me with nobody like Joe Lewis or nobody.
If you are black, if you are brown, if you are indigenous, and if you are poor, this system is rigged and it is right to the core, and we gonna unring it. That's it. And that's all.
That other kind of socialism that revolutionizes the workplace, brings democracy to the workplace for the first time.
So that's one way. And then the other thing is, in my more optimistic days, he's such a perfect endpoint of everything that is toxic and dysfunctional about the United States, about capitalism, about the 80s, that maybe this is the final sort of disgusting burst before we evolve or change to something better.
Okay, what are they talking about? Fortified. Are you fortified for the long run? Do you have your cemetery clothes on? Are you coffin ready to live and die for something bigger than you, like a fundamental transformation of a capitalist civilization?